Hello friends, Bendy here, and today we will discuss about the game that was meant to be a successor to Bendy and Machine, but unfortunately, it failed to do so. The game I'm talking about is Bendy and the Dark Revival. Before we start though, please note that the gameplay in the background and the music I use in this video is not mine, so I will leave all the links of the videos or the music in the background I use in this video in the description below so you can check some of it out for yourselves. Alright, let's stop wasting time and let's get started. Now, while making this video, I've learned of the many rumors that was behind Bendy and the Dark Revival and Bendy and the Ink Machine. And some of those rumors, for example, being that Kindly Beast or the Meatly had went ahead and taken down many fan games inspired of the franchise or content without any warning, and also had taken things from the community and claimed it for themselves without giving credit where credit is due. Also, the rumor of the company firing 50 and more employees, and most of that team was the team that worked on Bendy and the Ink Machine. Then we have the incidents, and one of these incidents being that the maps for the employee handbook of Bendy and the Ink Machine were taken from a fan. And these maps were made by someone by the name of 434-924-49, or 434 for short. If you go read the book, you will see that every start of a chapter will show a map layout of the entire chapter and the map layout of the bacon soup cans. I will not go in depth on this topic as someone else has already done so in a video and explained it all completely. So, if you want to see that video for yourselves, I will put it all in the description below so you can watch the full 3-hour video for yourselves. Now, to sum it all up, the maker of those maps never got credit for their maps and that were used in the book and were used without his permission and was never notified until it was too late after the book's release on his maps being used in the book. Then we had another incident where Kindly Beast took down a popular fan game going by the name of Bendy and the Ink Machine Reese's Story. Now, the full story on this incident is that the fan game was super popular, but out of nowhere, the game got removed and the creator of the fan game never got notified or told of his game being removed. Now, the video I mentioned before explains the reason why in full detail, so I recommend you check it out, but if not, then I'll explain it here. The game was taken down due to Kindly Beast's so-called policy on the Joey Drew's website behind fan creations, using their name in fan-made projects, and to sum it all up, they are afraid of losing their trademark. Now, I'm not a game developer, but if you don't want to have your brand's name being used in a fan-made project, then make a whole new category. It isn't really that hard just to make a separate category if you go on pages like GameJolt, who actually do have that. But they can go ahead and make an exclusive page for the fan-made projects using or have the name of their brand or Bendy and the Ink Machine. Something that Fnaf did with the Fnaf fanverse. If they didn't want that though, they could have at least told the game developer nicely that they had to take it down instead of leaving the creator in the dark. What I'm saying is that Kindly Beast could have had a whole way to credit the fan creators, but instead decided not to and use the fan creations for their own benefit, but also remove the fan creations without even notifying the creators. Now, I understand that creators can do whatever they want because it's their brand. However, they can at least show where they got their stuff from. And the reason I say this is because fans might be too afraid to make content inspired by their favorite game or show because of stuff like this happening to some of the creators or people who make content on that game or show, and may lead to people not finding the game or show at all. They may not want to watch it or play the game. So, if creators want people to play their game, then they have to allow fan creations to happen or make rules on fan creations so fans aren't afraid to make content inspired by their favorite game or show. Alright, on to the next. If you played Bendy in the Dark Revival, then you will see that some of the characters may look familiar to other franchises. That is because the franchise or game that you may be thinking of is the game or franchise BioShock. Don't believe me? This is what Audrey looks like. And this is what the character Elizabeth looks like. Do you see a difference? If you don't, then allow me to explain. They are pretty much the exact same character. The only key difference between the two that you could point out is Audrey has two versions of herself. Her human form and her ink form. But that's where the differences end between the two. Then we have the gameplay elements. Once again, similar to BioShock. Everything from the characters to the gameplay has been copied from BioShock. The only thing that is original to Bendy and the Dark Revival is the setting of the game and the story of the game. But that's where the originality ends. The same goes for Bendy and the Ink Machine, however, not by much. The story, the atmosphere, the setting, and even the music is so unique and different to BioShock. However, if you compare the two between Bendy and the Dark Revival and BioShock, then that settles it. They're just pretty much the exact same game. And I am just disappointed at the fact that the developers had made something so unique with Bendy and the Ink Machine that it was just all thrown away when Bendy and the Dark Revival came out. I know that it's just a small company and team. However, it doesn't change the fact that they decided to go ahead and reuse the assets from the original game and go ahead and reuse character designs from other games and franchises just to go ahead and save them time for the game development or the character designs of their characters. They could have easily went ahead and choose a different style of Audrey, or they could have used a character, but they could have made something original with her design. And yet, they did not. They just chose the lazy route. It's just so sad to think about. So much potential wasted because of the laziness of these developers. Now, I hope we can see the next game be made with care and the developers take consideration to make something original, than take the lazy route again and just copy it from another game or franchise. This company has so much potential, and they've shown their potential with Bendy and the Ink Machine, that it would be a shame for them to have all of that potential wasted just for some cheap cash. Now, that's all I really have to say for this topic, but before we go into the next one, I do have to note that while making this, I did not enjoy making this part in the video. Now, on to the next one. Now, this is part of the video that I was scared to make. However, the truth must be said. And that truth being that Bendy and the Ink Machine was just overall a better game than Bendy and the Dark Revival. As a Bendy fan, I put all of my faith into Bendy and the Dark Revival when it first came out. But all of it just turned into pure disappointment. Don't get me wrong, Bendy and the Dark Revival did some things that were better than the original, but there are only a few that I can point out. Some of those points being that the sequel actually felt scary, and we got some new environments to look at, like the city of the train station and Wilson's Place. And also the new save system and the audio log system. Now, the audio log style felt like you can actually listen to the audio logs without getting interrupted by an enemy like the first game did, but also the introduction to Baby Bendy. Then, we have the lore regarding the loop and how Bendy was becoming way too powerful in the inky world, but also how Audrey and Joey Drew are connected. Now, that's really all where all the positives really end for the sequel. And the cons go as follows. Very little to no originality. The character designs, like the Lost Ones, between the female and male Lost Ones, being lazy in the new game, or reused, like Audrey's design. And most of the dialogue in the game by the characters, except Wilson, Henry, and Joey, and Bendy, feel too cheap and poorly written. The setting also looks like an Instagram filter, only though the filter was put to max. Now, the same issue follows with Bendy and Ink Machine. However, that is the whole reason the first game was popular in the first place, its setting and how it looked. Then we have the gameplay. Now, the gameplay also feels like it was trying to do too much. And the reason why I say that was due to the fact that we have the introduction of the upgrades to your abilities and to your weapons. Then we have the music. Now, as a person who enjoyed the music from the first game, I can note that the music from Bendy and the Dark Revival wasn't as good or polished as the first. It just felt like something else. Then we have the story. The story was just confusing, and it had a lot of things that were just unanswered. And also, most of the sounds for the original were all thrown away. The game also didn't feel like a chapter-based game like the first, and the reason why I say this is because the first game was known for having its chapter-based style. And at the start of every chapter, it will show the name and you'll be introduced to a new environment. And then at the end of the chapter, you would be left in a cliffhanger. And that cliffhanger for the first game made you want to play and know more about the game and the story. Sure, Bendy and the Dark Revival was fully released with all its chapters, however, it felt like the game wasn't finished or unpolished and had things that were left out from the first, like, for example, the archives. Now, I know that the game now has the archives, but the fact that they had to update the game instead of just adding it in the first place when it first released shows why I say this. Now, I'm not saying that the Bendy and the Dark Revival is terrible. This is far from it. I feel like the game could have been a lot better than what it was, and the fact that the community has waited almost 2 to 4 years after it was teased just to get a game that fell short is just really sad. However, I do have to keep in note that this game was in development during the whole... I can't say it due to, well, YouTube. I'm just really disappointed to see what the direction the game went. Now, I just hope that this next game can give redemption for how disappointing the sequel was. Hopefully, that's just me coping for now. But that's all really from me for now. I hope you enjoyed the video. Now, this video wasn't meant to hate on the game or complain about it. It was really to explain my opinion and my reasoning on my negativity towards the game and how the game could have been better. And to be honest, I just wish the best luck for this franchise and the creators, and wish only good things from this franchise. No more, no less. Now, if you enjoyed, please feel free to like the video and subscribe to the channel to see more content like this. Now, I will see you all in the next one. Alright, take care and stay safe.